Lesson 10, A Boy's Best Friend, written by Isaac Asimov. Let me introduce with you the characters of this story. Number 1, Jimmy, a 10-year-old boy. Number 2, Mr. Anderson. Number 3, Mrs. Anderson. They both are parents of Jimmy. Number 4, Robert, who is a mechanical dog. Before moving up to the explanation, let us know something about the author. Isaac Asimov was a Russian-born American author and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was a prolific writer of science fiction and has written and edited over 500 volumes. These include the Robot series, I, Robot, The Intelligent Man's Guide to Science. Let us know about the topic. The topic, A Boy's Best Friend, is a fictional story of a moon-born boy and his mechanical dog, Robot. This story depicts the feeling of love and affection that develop between a human being and a pet animal. Jimmy's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, settled on the moon. Since Jimmy was born on the moon, he was greatly accustomed to life and dangers on the moon. Jimmy was a moon-born boy and could not visit Earth. Now here you can see Jimmy's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, they have settled on the moon where Jimmy was born. Hence, Jimmy could not go to the Earth. He was spindly but rather tall for a 10-year-old boy. His arms and legs were long and agile. He looked thicker and stubbier with his spacesuit on, but he could handle the lunar gravity as no earthborn human being could. Now here the physical feature of Jimmy is that he was a tall 10-year-old boy and his legs were long and agile. Agile means he was able to move quickly and easily. And spindly means he was tall and thin. Now when he used to wear his spacesuit, he looked much fatter. But he was able to control the lunar gravity, the moon's gravity. Jimmy had his best friend Robert. That was only a mechanical imitation. Jimmy expressed his love for Robert. His friendship with Robert was evident. When he held out his arms and Robert was in them in no time, Jimmy had strong emotional bonding with Robert. Robert could hear him by radio, squeaked and bounded after him. Now here you can see Jimmy had one Robert, which was a dog, mechanical dog, and both of them had emotional bonding. One day, his father decided to bring a real dog from the earth, a Scotch Terrier puppy. He hoped that a real dog will be better than Robert because Robert was made of steel and wiring and a simple positronic brain. Hence, it had no feelings of love. Now here the father decided to bring a real dog from the earth to give to Jimmy so that he can learn what is a real love. A real dog will have all the feelings of human being and will show real love towards Jimmy. However, Jimmy was not happy to get a real dog because he had great attachment with Robert. Finally, he makes his father understand that he loves his Robert and will never leave him because he loves him more than any other thing. Now Jimmy loved his Robert, mechanical dog, so much that he convinced his father that whether the dog is artificial, he had no problem because he loves him very much. Moral of the story: a true friend will accept you for who you are instead of trying to change you. They will be there for you in good and bad times. Now, I will narrate this story. Section 1: A Boy's Best Friend. Part 1. Mr. Anderson said, "Where's Jimmy dear?" "Out on the crater," said Mrs. Anderson. "He'll be all right. Robert is with him. Did it arrive?" "Yes, it's at the rocket station, going through the test. Actually, I can hardly wait to see it myself. I haven't really seen one since I left Earth 15 years ago. You can't count films." "Jimmy has never seen one," said Mrs. Anderson, "because he is moonborn and can't visit Earth. That's why I'm bringing one here. I think it's the first one ever on the moon." "It cost enough," said Mrs. Anderson with a small sigh. "Maintaining Robert isn't cheap either," said Mr. Anderson. Jimmy was out on the crater, as his mother had said. By Earth standards, he was spindly but rather tall for a 10-year-old. His arms and legs were long and agile. He looked thicker and stubbier with his spacesuit on, but he could handle the lunar gravity as no earthborn human being could. His father couldn't begin to keep up with him when Jimmy stretched his legs and went into the kangaroo hop. The outer side of the crater sloped southward, and the earth, which was low in the southern sky, where it always was, as seen from Lunar City, was nearly full, so that the entire crater slope was brightly lit. The slope was a gentle one, and even the weight of the spacesuit couldn't keep Jimmy from racing up it in a floating hop that made the gravity seem non existent. "Come on, Robert," he shouted. Robert, which could hear him by radio, squeaked and bounded after him. Jimmy, expert though he was, couldn't outrace Robert, which didn't need a spacesuit and had 4 legs and tendons of steel. Robert sailed over Jimmy's head, somersaulting and landing almost under his feet. "Don't show off, Robert," said Jimmy, "and stay in sight." Robert squeaked again, the special squeak that meant yes. "I don't trust you, you faker," shouted Jimmy, and up he went in one last bound that carried him over the curved upper edge of the crater wall and down into the inner slope. The earth sank below the top of the crater wall, and at once it was pitch dark around him. A warm, friendly darkness that wiped out the difference between ground and sky except for the glitter of stars. Actually, Jimmy wasn't supposed to exercise along the dark side of the crater wall. The grown ups said it was dangerous, but that was because they were never there. The ground was smooth and crunchy, and Jimmy knew the exact location of every one of the few rocks. Besides, how could it be dangerous racing through the dark when Robert was right there? With him, bouncing around and squeaking and glowing. Even without the glow, Robert could tell where it was and where Jimmy was. By radar, Jimmy couldn't go wrong while Robert was around, tripping him when he was too near a rock, or jumping on him to show how much it loved him, or circling around and squeaking low and scared when Jimmy hid behind a rock. When all the time Robert knew well enough where he was. Once Jimmy had lain still and pretended he was hurt, and Robert had sounded the radio alarm, and people from Lunar City got there in a hurry. Jimmy's father had let him hear about that little trick, and Jimmy never tried it again. Just as he was remembering that, he heard his father's voice on his private wavelength. "Jimmy, come back. I have something to tell you." Jimmy was out of his spacesuit now and washed up.
You always had to wash up after coming it from outside. Even Robert had to be sprayed, but it loved it. It stood there on all fours, its little foot long body quivering and glowing just a tiny bit, and its small head with no mouth, with two large glassed in eyes, and with a bump where the brain was. It squeaked until Mr. Anderson said, "Quiet, Robert." Mr. Anderson was smiling. "We have something for you, Jimmy. It's at the rocket station now, but we will have it tomorrow after all the tests are over. I thought I would tell you now. From Earth, Dad? A dog from Earth, son. A real dog. A Scotch Terrier puppy. The first dog on the moon. You won't need Robert anymore. We can't keep both, and some other boy or girl will have Robert." He seemed to be waiting for Jimmy to say something. Then he said, "You know what a dog is, Jimmy. It's the real thing. Robert's only a mechanical imitation, a Robert mute. Hence, how it got its name. Part 2. Jimmy frowned. "Robert isn't an imitation, Dad. It's my dog." "Not a real one, Jimmy. Robert's just steel and wiring and a simple positronic brain. It's not alive." "It does everything I want it to do, Dad. It understands me." "Sure, it's alive." "No, son. Robert is just a machine. It's just programmed to act the way it does. A dog is alive. You won't want Robert after you have the dog. The dog will need a spacesuit, won't it?" "Yes, of course, but it will be worth the money and it will get used to it. And it won't need one in the city. You will see the difference once it gets here." Jimmy looked at Robert, which was squeaking again, a very low squeak that seemed frightened. Jimmy held out his arms and Robert was in them in one bound. Jimmy said, "What will be the difference between Robert and the dog?" "It's hard to explain," said Mr. Anderson, "but it will be easy to see. The dog will really love you. Robert is just adjusted to act as though it loves you." "But Dad, we don't know what's inside the dog or what its feelings are. Maybe it's just acting too." Mr. Anderson frowned. "Jimmy, you will know the difference when you experience the love of a living thing." Jimmy held Robert tightly. He was frowning too, and the desperate look on his face meant that he wouldn't change his mind. He said, "But what's the difference how they act?" "How about how I feel? I love Robert, and that's what counts." And the little Robert Mutt, which had never been held so tightly in all its existence, squeaked highly and rapid squeaks, happy squeaks. Students, hope you have understood this wonderful story based on true friendship. A boy's best friend. Thank you.